For as much playing around with the P.U.N.K cards as we do, we seldom find ourselves playing actual, just regular P.U.N.K, and that's what I decided to take into ranked very recently, and I had a ton of success. This deck's really good. It just plays really consistently. You can set up your primary combo, which is basically just bounce 4 back the hand, alongside having a monster negate pre-built and pre-baked into your combo. But you also draw twice and search for an extra interruption, so your end board is sort of like a Amazing Dragon, bounce 2, 3, or 4 monsters. Then it'll have Ghost Ogre as well as a trap card. So you've got like 3 interruptions baked into your combos, as well as drawing a ton of cards and playing a ton of hand traps. And it just feels really good. It just feels really good, right? It just feels super consistent. The plays basically always pop off, and even under certain circumstances when they don't, you always have enough hand traps to back yourself up and buy yourself enough time to get into your plays. So I absolutely love this deck. Super chill, super straightforward, while still having a ton of different plays you can go into. So I'm going to be going over the deck card for card at the end of the video, so stick around for that. But do watch the gameplay, because you're going to want to know some of the core sort of movements and combos, because it is very sort of rigid. Your combo doesn't really change all that much. You have a ton of different options you can go into, but your 3-in-1 combo typically is very generic, right? You go into basically a level 8, set up your level 11, draw a ton of cards, set up a bunch of interruptions, love and life. So we're going to show off some replays as well as a card for card profile at the end. So if you're interested in this style of content or anything else that we do, be it live streams, be it competition, commentary, things like that, subscribe if you haven't already, like the video if you enjoy watching it, and let's get into game number 1. Alrighty, getting into game 1 here. Again, no particular order to these replays, we're just blasting through, and we're going to start off with our Ogre Dance. Ogre Dance basically searches whatever you want from the deck. Normally you would search for Zeom, but we already had it, so we just grab Madame Spider. We're going to use Zeom, and this is a fairly rigid part of your combo. You want Zeom in hand, summon it, search your deck for Foxy Toon. Foxy Toon drops itself and another card to summon the Sharkusai. Sharkusai pays to fusion summon in the Rising Carp, and you want to do it in this way. So I know a lot of people are sort of looking at this and thinking, why not just summon Deer Note directly off of the Zeoman? It's so you can put up Wagon, right? And Wagon's very important, because you can use his effect, pay 600 life points, grab the field spell, and the field spell will generate you a ton of advantage. It really will. We're going to go into the Jam Dragon here. Jam Dragon on summon, pay 600 life points to search your deck for a level 3 psychic monster and add it to your hand or send it to the grave, while Deer Note is going to revive the Sharkusai. Has to be Sharkusai for his secondary effect. We're going to grab Ghost Ogre in most circumstances. We were unlucky here. We were only running the 1 P.U.N.K trap card. Normally what you would do is you would use the second effect of Extreme Jam to summon out Madame Spider. Madame Spider pays 600 to search for the trap card, as well as triggering your field spell to draw another card. So we actually missed out on a pot of greed just by drawing this card. Very unlucky, very unfortunate, but what can you do? We decided to just set free and pass, give it to our opponent. So what exactly is this board? Well, we've got a monster negate, Call by the Grave. These two can quick play Synchro Summon, but thanks to Sharkusai, into the Amazing Dragon, which will bounce as many monsters, as many cards in his field back to the hand as I have different level 3 Psychics in Grave. We have 1, 2, we'll have at least 3. If we use Ghost Ogre before that, we'll have 4. Bounce 4 cards back to hand off of that play. And we also get to draw extra cards off of our field spell. So it is looking phenomenal for us. They're going to go Tearlaments Scream and Tearlaments Rhinoheart. They open up the absolute nuts in a 60 card deck. He just raw opens Scream and Rhinoheart. Insane. We decide we're going to hit that Rhinoheart nice and early here, just to prevent them from generating anything huge. He mills a bunch of cards. He's playing Gundil. Cubic Tearlaments, very interesting here. We do have the Call by the Grave for the Kelbeck that he just milled, so that's a really lucky hit for us. This man is just so lucky. He's hitting all of his best cards, even in a 60 card deck, but luckily we were able to shut him down with that Imperm. We're going to now Synchro Summon into the Amazing Dragon, activate its effect, bounce all of his cards back to the hand, as well as drawing 1 off of our field spell. And it's just disgusting. Drawing into a Veiler, there you go. Me in phase 2, our opponent's going to go for Siren here. They were just looking to force our Sharkusai. Very smart play from our opponent here. They're going to use Rhinoheart and Grave, pitching Scream, summoning out the Rhinoheart. Use Scream, grab Suliak. Now they're going to use these two to go into the Time Thief Redoer. Luckily, we do have an Imperm, as well as Veiler. So Imperm is hopefully going to carry us a little bit here. Our opponent actually outplayed us here. Whenever I saw that activate, I didn't think anything of it. I thought that, okay, that's just his like standby phase effect. I didn't read he was actually using its effect to banish itself to force the fusions. He outplayed us. Very smart from our opponent. Unfortunately, this is where the strength of Ghost Ogre comes in. Ghost Ogre is pretty powerful against field spells and continuous cards in particular, which Sulliek, unfortunately for them, finds themselves among. So we're going to imperm the Kikalos on summon. They're going to activate Sulliek, of course, trying to negate our Amazing Dragon. We're going to use our Ghost Ogre. Ghost Ogre will negate the Sulliek and pop it. Pretty straightforward stuff. Destroy the Sulliek. You don't get the send, which means your kit's still negated. And yeah, you don't exactly have a ton of plays from here. Sulliek gonna grab them a Merly directly from the deck, not a Havness, which is pretty interesting. We're gonna go Amazing Dragon here, bringing back the Deer Note from the graveyard, activating Emergency Teleport, summoning out a Zeoman. Zeoman, pay 600, search for one, and draw one because of our field spell. Let's not forget that. Drawing into Instant Contact, which is a pretty fun card in this particular strategy. Chaos Ruler gonna mill 5. The Zeoman here. I'm not gonna lie, at this stage we were kind of BMing just a little bit. We're going to summon out Wagon from the graveyard here. We're going to check the top 5 of our deck, grabbing any light or dark monster among them. We were also playing Bystials in this particular replay, but I ended up cutting them. I didn't really like them in the long run. We're going to go Instant Contact here into Mariner, which will allow us to go into the Axel Synchro Stardust Dragon. That's going to bring back the Gamma that we just milled to the graveyard. Now we're going to Synchro off into Baron de Fleur. Activating Chaos Ruler Engrave, we're going to banish 2, summon it out to the field. Out comes the Chaos Ruler, and that, of course, puts us in the possibility where we're able to use now this to summon out a level 3 Psychic from hand. So this can special summon a... No, not you. This can special summon a Punk from hand by banishing a Punk card from the graveyard, which enables our Psychic M Punisher. We normal the Veiler, so we can banish Veiler and the Kikalos. We end up drawing another card because we paid life points. We're going to banish his monster to summon out the Magnomet. Again, Magnomet literally doesn't matter in this deck. I really didn't like it. Swing for 36, swing for 76. There you go. Insane combos. It really is. And there you go. And that's a good example of a bunch of different ways you can play it, right? So we were playing Bystials. We were literally only playing Magnomet and Dristworm. That's it. Those are the only 2 we were playing. And I ended up cutting them for that reason. But, I mean, if you want to play Bystials, you can. They work. And that's evidence of that, but I just didn't like them in the long run. But either way, let's get in the game too. Alrighty, opening up the best card known to man, Psyframe Driver. Everybody loves having that card in hand. They're going to go for Kit here, searching for Brand of Fusion, shuffling a card back. Another 60 card deck, by the way. Everyone just out here playing 60 card decks. What the hell did I miss? They're going to grab the Magnomet from the deck. They're going to go with the Branded Fusion. Of course, we're going to Ash that, right? I mean, who in their right mind wouldn't? That's why, I mean, the Branded just folds the Ash Blossom. It is actually criminal. And look at that. They just decided that they really didn't want to banish their Libellion for Magnomet. So here we are. They're going to go Max C. So they were willing to sort of sit on that because of Max C. What can you do about it? Sometimes they just have the out. We're going to summon out the Zeoman here. Zeoman pay 600. That's going to trigger their Have This, which is very interesting. So we're left in a position where we have a couple of different options for what we can do next. We're going to grab the Madame Spider here. Madame Spider on summon, searching our Trap card by paying 600 life points. And then we're just going to set 2. We're going to chill on the fact that we have 3 interruptions. Our opponent only has 5 cards here, only 3 of which can be useful. They are going to summon out the Magnomet by banishing Driver. That's fine. We're going to use Veiler on the Magnomet to stop him from searching for another Bystial during the end phase. Again, he only has 2 cards left in hand. How useful could they possibly be, right? He's going to tribute off that for the Libellion. We knew he was going to do that. We still have, of course, our 2 negates on board. We're going to negate that as well, minimizing the amount of useful cards he has. We're also going to use Madame Spider's effect to have its attack points. So that makes it even less threatening. You could have made an argument here for having something else, but I think that was totally fine. They're going to go Verte here. Now, Verte actually sends Fusion Deployment, which I thought was really interesting, but I also didn't think it was worth allowing to resolve. So we're still going to negate the Verte as well. And he's going to tribute these 2 off. And this was wild to me. Tribute summon Grapha. What do you mean? He swings in, takes out the Madame Spider. I'm assuming just to get as much damage as he possibly can. Tribute summon Grapha is nuts. But again, the things on his board didn't give him any value. So why wouldn't he do it, right? We're going to go for Charcusai here. Charcusai, pay 600, summoning out the Rising Carp here. Rising Carp can attribute itself to get summoning. We also were only playing a single Deer Note at this point, so what we basically did is we took out the Bestials and put in another Deer Note and another Trap card to balance out the deck a little bit more. We're going to go into the Jam Dragon, paying 600, getting the Search, Deer Note, activating Rising Carp, and this is one of the primary plays in the deck, so it is. I want to show this one off in particular. It's around the Rising Carp and Xiamen Synchro Summon for lethal damage, basically. Gonna draw a bunch of cards, gonna special summon out Xiamen. Now we're gonna summon the Amazing Dragon. Now, a huge part about this summon in particular is how it perfectly sets you up for an OTK, and that's because of the 3 cards involved. The Amazing Dragon itself, the Rising Carp, and the Xiamen. So the way it works is that when Xiamen's sent to the graveyard, you get to boost up one of your P.U.N.K monsters by 600 attack points. Fair enough. So the Amazing Dragon goes up. Rising Carp, when used as synchro material, allows you to target a P.U.N.K in your field, and that monster can attack twice during that turn. So 3600, and we can attack twice. And lastly, the Amazing Dragon is going to bounce his entire field back to his hand. He could have had 4 cards there, and we would have blew them all back. 36, 36, 27 for backup. Easy, 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 easy lethal. There you go. It's a hard play to stop as well, because Amazing Dragon bounces the whole field back, and that double 3600 attack points. It's a lot to defend against. It really, really is. There you go. Let's get into the next one. I did want to show off at least one L, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to go for Ogre Dance, grabbing Xiamen here. I believe, yeah, so we normal summon the Xiamen, pay 600, search our deck for Foxy Tune. I think I actually messed this up. Yeah. I was sort of feeling the max C, and for whatever reason, I thought I'm going to go emergency teleport first. What I should have done is activate Foxy Tune and then chain emergency teleport to the max C. So small misplay on my part, but either way, we weren't getting a lot of gas out of this turn, so I'm not exactly going to lose sleep over it, right? You really cannot afford to play the Maxi challenge, especially not against all of these 60 card decks. Who do these people think they are playing 60 cards? We just summon Madame Spider, setting up the trap card. It gives us just an interruption to buy ourselves some time. We have 3 in hand. And this is part of the reason I really didn't like playing the Bestial cards, because it just felt really sacky whenever we did or didn't draw them. That crossout definitely hurts, but we still have a couple of interruptions at the very least. Of course, in their 60 card deck, they managed to open up the one of crossout designator. Whatever, bro. What do you mean? They're gonna go Saronir. There's Quick Launch. And what an absolutely disgusting hand, by the way. Max, like, look at this hand they opened up with. They had Maxi, Crossout, Quick Launch, and Bestials in their opening hand of 60 cards. Dragon Link is just better. I don't know what to tell you. They're just better. We are going to flip up the trap card. He actually chooses to negate us here. I'm assuming because he didn't want us to gain the life points. I can only assume. I think he wants to go for lethal damage here. And Dragon Link is more than able to do so, going for Lure of Darkness, hitting Thunder Dragon Roar off of it, summoning out Dark, summoning out Starliege. We have all seen Dragon Link play this card going absolutely nuts. We're going to stop his Magnomet summon by using our own Magnomet, banishing his target before he can. So at the very least, we've got that going for us. We're going to see if that buys us enough time to actually survive. They're going to go into the battle phase, taking out the Magnomet, taking out the Xiamen, into the Dark Charmer, Gloomy. That triggers the Dark in the graveyard. Gonna grab Hawk. Gloomy then's gonna try and target our Magnomet to summon it to his field, gaining its effect to search. We really can't afford that, so instead we're gonna use Ghost Ogre to negate the Gloomy. How does that work? Well, Gloomy has to special summon the monster to one of the zones it points to. Now that it's no longer on the field, it doesn't point to any zones, so you can't do it. Gloomy does, however, get to search the deck for Tracer, but Tracer isn't of any value to our opponent right now. We're going to go Hawk. Hawk summoning back the Roar, sacrificing the Roar for Colossus. At this stage, we were still somewhat confident we could play through this. It was going to be tough. They're going to go Seyfert now. Seyfert setting up Lubellion, and this is where it starts looking pretty damn rough for us right around here. They're going to go for the Lubellion one more time, grabbing Drissworm, activating Boot Sector Launch, which is insane. And at that stage, we realize that it doesn't matter what card we top deck. If he has Branded Beast, he just pops it, right? And that's a form of interruption that this deck is particularly weak to in the simplified game state. So unfortunately, he just had it. He just had a busted ass hand. He was just ready. What do you want me to say? into the next game. All right, into the fourth and final replay. We're going to start with Tearlaments. Again, that is the crux of your plays. You play so many ways of getting into Tearlaments as well, that's not even funny. We're going to go Foxy Tomb for Sharkusai. Sharkusai fuse off into Rising Carp here. Rising Carp sacrificing itself to summon out the Deer Note and a Wagon. Wagon activating to grab the field spell. Pretty straightforward stuff here. My green screen's betraying me. We're going to go into the Jam Dragon. Jam Dragon then paying 600, searching our deck for another Psychic. We're going to go Deer Note to revive back. Was it Sharkusai we targeted? It was, yes. Good stuff. Sometimes I get that wrong. But yeah, we summon back Sharkusai, grab the Ghost Ogre. What you would do here, I know we're grabbing Ghost Ogre a lot, but we're only grabbing Ghost Ogre because we seem to always have a way to get in the Madame Spider. What you normally do off of this card, if you don't have Madame Spider, you would search her, because you can then special summon it to the field off of Extreme Session, and then search your deck for a trap card. But we already had it, so we didn't need to do that. We could just grab an extra interruption. We're going to summon out the Madame Spider using the field spell, paying 600, gonna search, gonna draw, drawing into Called by the Grave, setting 3 pass. We've got Ghost Ogre, Ash, Called by, pop a card, negate a card, as well as Synchro Summon and spin for 3, which is insane. This board is insane. Plus, you know, we've got extra draw power if we need to go into our extra cards. This is incredible. Playing against Black Wings here, which is interesting. We are going to hit that Small World of Ash Blossom. Small World opens up a ton of possibilities, but he's got the cross out for the Ash Blossom. Very, very interesting. Well played from our opponent there. They're going to stop the Ash Blossom. That's pretty big because now they can banish the Zephyros and their Radiant so they can grab the Sudri. Sudri is an interesting pick. I definitely, depending on what the final card in his hand is, the Simoon might have been better, but if he doesn't have a Blackwing in hand, then yes, Sudri makes total sense. So I'm going to activate Sudri, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2 the Whirlwind. That was a mistake. Well, it doesn't really matter which one they went for because Ghost Ogre stops this play regardless. Either this happens and we activate Ghost Ogre in response to the Black Whirlwind and pop it, or he activates Sudri's Chainlink 2, we activate Ghost Ogre, pop the Sudri, so it's Chainlink 1, he no longer has a monster in the field with any attack points, and Whirlwind sort of just fizzles and it doesn't do anything. Either way, suits us because he doesn't get the resolve Whirlwind, so, you know, it just works. It just works. And they're going to go for Vata here. Now, I don't know what happened here. He summons Vata, and I had my toggle on. My plan was to use this to pop the card. But we just couldn't, I guess. It is what it is. We end up activating it now. We're still going to pop the card before he can do anything with it because Vata has to send itself from field to grave in order to resolve its Synchro Summon effect. So by popping it, we're going to stop that effect from even happening. During the end phase, activate Sharkusai, Synchro Summon off into the Amazing Dragon, bounce his whole field back to his hand in the end phase. And we also get to draw one as well, drawing into an Ash Blossom, which is phenomenal. We know he can't really have anything in hand because his whole hand was just on the field. We do BM a little bit. Sometimes you just gotta, right? Sometimes you just gotta. We're gonna go Chaos Ruler here. Chaos Ruler checking the top 5 of the deck for Light or a Dark. We're gonna use the Deer Note to revive the Rising Carp from the graveyard. And we're just gonna set up lethal damage. Again, literally easiest thing in the world to set up lethal with this deck. It takes 0 conscious effort. And the only card we grab was Driver here. I swear to God. Sometimes, like, Chaos Ruler really doesn't like me. We go E-Telly for Gamma. Gamma, just because it's a level 2, we're able to go into the Baron de Fleur here. Now, the Rising Carp doesn't have to target. It doesn't have to target the monster that it was used for the Synchro Summon of. If it's just used for a Synchro Summon, you can target any punk and attack twice with it. So even if we go into Baron de Fleur there, to negate the Battle Fader potentially, I don't know. The Smoke Mosquito, but the Baron de Fleur of course gives us that negate while also allowing our dragon to attack twice. We have like 15,000 damage, right? And even more. We weren't even done extending. Absolutely insane. Let's get into the deck profile. Alrighty, into the deck profile. So first of all, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. You play approximately in and around, doing a quick head count here, 472 hand traps. So let's have a quick count over those. We of course have the Gamma package. We've got Maxi because it's broken. We've got double Veiler because we have room for it. We have triple Ash Blossom because we need to stop Maxi. We have double Call by the Grave to stop Maxi. Crossout Designator. Triple infinite permanence. And there you go. You could also throw Ghost Ogre into this category, but I do think Ghost Ogre deserves its spot. Being able to search it as a backup target off of your Jam Dragon is huge. So definitely, if you have the points or if you have the card, include at least one copy of Ghost Ogre. Alright, so how does the deck actually work? So it's easy to sort of separate the deck out. You've got your level 3s, your 1 level 5, and your 2 level 8s. Pretty straightforward stuff. All of your small monsters will pay 600 life points to generate some form of consistency, with Sharkusai sort of being the exception. Xiamen, pay 600, search for a monster. Madame Spider, pay 600, search for a trap. Wagon, pay 600, search for a spell. Pretty straightforward, right? Sharkusai is the exception. This card has an effect you activate both on your turn and another effect for your opponent's turn. During your turn, you're going to pay 600 life points to fusion summon using punks in your field and hand. During your opponent's turn, you're going to pay 600 to quick play synchro summon. Again, pretty straightforward. This is a key part of your end board because not only does this set up your Rising Carp, it also, during your opponent's turn, sets up your Amazing Dragon. So Sharkusai, absolutely an integral part of your final board. You could really argue playing 2 of this card to get around Call by the Grave, but that has yet to be enough of a problem for me to play around it. But you could definitely bump this guy up to 2. I think 3 is a little masochistic, but 2 is fine. Because like I said, it's not as if you don't have room, right? You've got 17 flex spots. You could do whatever the hell you want. You could run all of them at 3 if you wanted to. Don't, but you could. So that's how these guys work. The level 5, a Deer Note, you basically 2 different effects. Number 1, if it's in your hand, you can reveal it and another punk. Summon one of them, send it over to the graveyard. Pretty good for consistency. And its main effect though, whenever it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you get to target any punk in your graveyard and summon it back to the field. As part of your primary combo, you're going to be using that to send your Sharkusai back to the field after you use it for a fusion summon. And you saw that in all of the replays, us doing exactly that play. We do play 2 copies of Deer Note because there was a lot of situations in which I wanted to, on turn 3, turn 4, go into another Deer Note play, which doesn't usually happen in like Punk engine decks, whereas like in a pure Punk deck, you actually do really value the Deer Note. So I think 2 Deer Note is definitely the way to go for this pure, more pure version. 3 copies of Foxy Tune. Foxy Tune and Ogre Dance are basically just like your consistency cards. Foxy Tune will discard itself and another card in your hand to special summon a punk from deck. And Ogre Dance will discard just itself to add a punk from deck to hand. So you can think of Ogre Dance just as 3 additional copies of Xiamen. It's also fantastic Ash bait, especially considering you play Gamma. Let's quickly talk about Gamma in relation to these 2 cards in particular, because that's sort of where Gamma comes into its own. Gamma's basically, its entire purpose is negating either A, Maxi, of course, and B, Ash Blossom. Now the primary issue with Gamma is you're not allowed to control any monsters when you want to use its effect. However, in this deck in particular, you have a ton of cards that will proc your opponent to do just that, to respond with an Ash Blossom or a Maxi before you even put a monster on board. So if you see these opportunities pop up, use them. If you control no monsters, go for your Ogre Dance first of all. Go for your Instant Contact. Go for your Emergency Teleport. Go for your Foxy Tunes. Go for these cards first to bait out your opponent. See if they've got that Ash Blossom. See if they've got that Maxi. Especially something like Instant Contact or Emergency Teleport or Foxy Tune, because the big target for this card is Maxi. Ash Blossom's nice. You do want to hit Ash, but Maxi is the main target, and they're more likely to activate Maxi in response to a card that special summons. Plus, it's a level 2 tuner, it's psychic, it's a summonable target off of E-Telly to modulate your levels a little bit for your synchro plays. Fantastic card overall, and I just wanted to quickly mention that it's so powerful here because of these cards. But yeah, Foxy Tune just summons from deck, Ogre Dance just searches from deck, pretty straightforward. The level 8s, which allow you to go into a whole variety of plays. Yeah, pretty solid cards. Into the Punk spells and traps, we got one of the field spell, which is, you're going to search this off Wagon. This card is absolutely insane. It's one of the coolest hand traps in the game in my opinion. I don't know why, it just feels so good, right? So up to twice per turn, if you pay life points to activate the effect of a psychic monster, you draw a card. So it's pot of greed every single turn. because you're paying life points for your Xiamen, your Madame Spider, Wagon, Sharkusai, even your Jam Dragon, your Psychic Ant Punisher. All of these cards have you pay life points. And they all trigger your jam session. You even use it during your opponent's turn, thanks to the likes of Sharkusai. So this card is absolutely incredible. Across your turn and your opponent's turn, you get to draw 3 cards in most circumstances, 2 on your turn and at least 1 on your opponent's turn off of your Sharkusai. Normally you don't get a chance to proc a second effect, but you can get 3 cards across 2 turns. Considering you're playing 17 hand traps, that's pretty damn good, right? So the field spell is absolutely incredible, and it is also integral to the combo, not only for its draw power, but also it allows you to banish a P.U.N.K card from grave to special summon a P.U.N.K monster from your hand. So the way your combo normally goes, your Jam Dragon, when you summon it off of your Sharkusai, is going to be able to search your deck for your Madame Spider. The field spell is how you then summon the Madame Spider in order to search your deck for a trap card. What trap cards are we searching for? Well, we've either got Dangerous Gabu or that thing, Nashawari Surprise. Basically, Gabu is a monster negate. Surprise is a basically pop a card. If you don't control a P.U.N.K, it's a set card. If you control a P.U.N.K, it can be a face-up card instead. So basically, pop one, negate one. Take your pick. We're playing one of each because I kept drawing the trap card. Initially, I was only playing Gabu, but I kept opening it, and then I kept not having a play off of Madame Spider. And I really wanted to have that because it's more than just searching for a trap card. It's also getting you an extra draw off of your field spell, which it costs you a lot of resources if you open up your trap card. So I play 2 so that I more consistently have a search target off of Madame Spider. You don't have to. It's just me. It's personal preference. But I feel like I lose a lot of advantage whenever I open up the trap card. And it hurts my soul. We've got E-Telly, summons out any of your level 3 or lower psychics from deck. It's going to be any of your P.U.N.K, again, any of your P.U.N.K starters, or even Gamma if you just need a level 2. This card's incredible, not once per turn, no cost, no limitations, no nothing. Bring it back to 3, Konami. This is not like, there's no deck that this is going to break. Bring this card back to 3, please. Let me play my P.U.N.Ks at full power. And lastly, we have Instant Contact. Now, this card is actually the reason I made this video, because I saw someone playing it on the ladder and thought to myself, that's really cool. Why aren't I doing that? So I decided to. So basically, Instant Contact allows you to summon out an elemental hero level 7 or lower from your extra deck with no cost, no restrictions, no nothing. But it does get bounced back during the end phase if it's still on the field. Also, its effects are all negated. So what do? Well, we choose 2 monsters that have very useful levels for us so that we can extend our synchro plays. If we get our Xiamen negated or whatever it is and we don't have the ability to put a Deer Note or a level 5 on board, well, Mariner's got your back. Mariner still enables you to go into one of your level 8 synchros. If you've already done all of your plays and you're left in a position where not only, like at the end of your full combo, if it all works, you have a spare level 3 tuner. You'll have Sharkusai, Madame Spider, and you're level 8. So if you're in that position where you've got your full combo and you've also got Instant Contact, why not summon Aqua Neos and go into and a Baron de Fleur on top of everything else? So it just adds to your end board massively, but it's primarily to play through Interruption, because you can summon out to level 5, which sometimes if you get hit with like an Imperm or Revealer or an Ash at the wrong time with the wrong hand, you can sometimes be left in a position where you're not able to put out a level 5. Which is why we have these backup options, Instant Contact, as well as another one we'll come to in a minute. And that leads us nicely into talking about the extra deck, right? Because the first 2 we just covered. These guys are here for 2 reasons. Number 1, they're level, and number 2, they're water monsters, which is very useful for Dragite, which we're going to come to. Resin Carp, though, is the actual in-archetype fusion monster. What this card does is basically tributes itself to summon any 2 P.U.N.K monsters directly from the deck, so long as they have different levels. So you're going to summon out Wagon and your Deer Note using this. Wagon grabs you the field spell, sets up your field spell combo. Deer Note will bring back the Sharkusai that you used to fusion summon for this card. Pretty straightforward stuff. It also can be used for OTKs, because if this card is used as synchro material, you can target a P.U.N.K synchro monster in your field and it can attack twice that turn. So being able to go into easy lethal damage using this card alongside an amazing dragon is honestly such an underrepresented tool. I very rarely resolve that play because usually your opponent surrenders before it even gets to that point. but it is nonetheless a terrific option for going for easy OTKs. Then we got our level 8 toolbox. The primary monster among these you're going to be summoning is the Jam Dragon. This is part of your primary combo. When summoned, you can pay 600 life points, grab a level 3 psychic monster from your deck, either add it to your hand or send it to graveyard. You're always going to add it to hand. You're going to primarily use that effect to grab Madame Spider for the combo that we already talked about. Feeling that if you've already got Madame Spider, you can search your deck for Ghost Ogre. Also a useful card. It can also bring itself back from the graveyard if your opponent activates an effect in response to a P.U.N.K card, which seems better than it is. Like, that doesn't come up nearly as often as you think it would. You would think this would come up every single game. Like, if your opponent activates a card in response to one of your monsters, then you get to bring it back. That seems like it would come up all the time. It doesn't. I'll tell you that for free. But, you know, it's neat, right? It's primarily here for its level. It's primarily here for its search effect and the fact that it pays 600 life points, which means you trigger your field spells, so like Pot of Greed. You know, it's awesome for what it is, but I have yet to resolve this secondary effect. I have yet to use it. So, on your just be warned that it's not something that's gonna come up every single game. Then we've got the other level 8s, which is just a miniature sort of toolbox. We got Dragite. Dragite is basically a spell or trap card negate once per turn, so long as you have a water monster in grave, which you're going to do because Chartreuse has water, as well as, of course, having your elemental heroes as backups. So basically just a spell trap negate. We have Chaos Ruler, which feels super underwhelming in this version of the deck, which I was super surprised by. Basically, when this card synchro summoned, you check the top 5 of your deck for any light or dark monsters among them, add one of them to your hand, the rest go to the grave. I think that this card is better when you are playing the Bastiles. If you're not playing the Bastiles, which we ended up cutting, you probably want to focus less on Chaos Ruler and more so on your Dragite or your Axel Synchro Stardust Dragon. But even then, its secondary effect to banish a light or dark from grave to bring this card back from the graveyard is also very useful for going into a myriad of different plays, so it's definitely not worthless. The Axel Synchro Stardust Dragon is a massive enabler of, more so than anything else, Exceed plays, which I thought was very interesting. So basically, when this card's summoned, you can target a level 2 or lower tuner in your graveyard and special summon it. Now, that's primarily going to be your Gamma if you already have it, or an effect Veiler in a pinch, although you would really rather go for Gamma in most circumstances. You'll rarely go into this card if you don't have a Gamma in the graveyard, because it's not often worth it at that stage. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The second effect can't be used in this version of the deck. So yeah, it's just basically a level 8, summons back a level 2 on summon. Pretty straightforward stuff. Our level 10s, we're running Baron de Fleur and Qing Ying because they're both uberly powerful generic level 10 monsters. Like, it's as simple as that. It really is. If you don't know what these cards do, you're living under a rock, because I talk about these in virtually every single video. Because I play them all the time, man. I like synchro combo decks. What do you want me to say? Baron de Fleur, once while face up Omni Negate, an Ignition effect pop card as well. Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign, but boosts itself, lowers your opponent's entire field according to the number of banished cards, can protect itself from effect destruction by banishing a card, and if this card's on the field when a card is banished, you get to banish one of your opponent's card on field and in grave. Banish 2, get them out of here. Both broken cards. And we're running 2 different level 8s. We're running double copies of the Amazing Dragon. Amazing Dragon is, as the name would imply, absolutely astonishing. So when summoned, you will get to bounce back basically your opponent's entire board, right? You count the number of different level 3 psychic monsters in your graveyard, bounce that many cards. You're going to have at least 3, right? Possibly 4. If you're lucky, 5. Because you can have, of course, all 4 of your P.U.N.K level 3s plus a Ghost Ogre. So you can have up to 5 bounces. You can wipe out an entire board with this. Super easy. Or, instead of doing that, you can instead, once per turn, bring back a P.U.N.K monster from your graveyard, which actually gives it utility going first. Now, you can only use one of its effects per turn, so don't expect to summon it, bounce a bunch of cards, and then revive a monster. You only get to choose once per turn. But it does give it some utility going first, and even playing into an empty board, it's not exactly dead. If you summon it free in 1, it means that on the following turns it still has utility if it's still around. So ultimately, really, really powerful card. You will honestly want a second copy. If you don't have a second copy, I wouldn't break your back over it. It's probably not worth crafting. But you'll be in certain games and certain matchups, and you'll wish to yourself you had a second one. I can guarantee you. That's the only reason I'm playing too. Psychic and Punisher. Some people argue that this is the real boss monster of P.U.N.K, and I don't blame them. This works better in this deck more than most, because if your life points are lower than or equal to your opponent's, this card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. Now, of course, all of your cards pay life points, so you're almost always going to have less life points than your opponent. It can also pay 1,000 life points to target a monster you control as well as any card your opponent controls and banish both. So that paying of life points helps trigger your field spell as well as being spot removal, which is awesome, brings your life points even lower, which is great not only for its first effect but also for its third effect, which allows you at the beginning of the battle phase to give this monster additional attack points equal to the difference between your life points and your opponent's. So this card can get absolutely massive. You saw in the first game, easy, we were able to get this card up to 7,900 attack points, which is incredible. We had like 20,000 attack on that board or something ridiculous. So Psychic and Punisher is no small part of that. We got Cicada King. Cicada King is here almost exclusively for hands where you cannot go into Deer Note. So in hands where you can't go into Deer Note, sometimes you're left with just 2 level 3s on board and you really wish you could do something with them, but you just can't, right? Cicada King is the answer to that, because Cicada King basically once per turn can negate the effect of a monster and then boost up an insect monster by 500 defense. So it just basically negates something and makes itself a 3k wall, which is decent. Again, it's not terrible. It's probably not going to win you games by itself, of course, it's only one negate, but it is definitely a lot better than sitting on 2 level 3s if you brick or you're playing into Ash Blossom or whatever it is. So for sure, Cicada King, if you have it, play it. If you don't, you can probably find either another Link monster you want to play, or potentially another rank 3 Exceed. I don't know if there is any other really good rank 3 Exceeds though. And you don't really play very good materials for Link monsters either, to be honest. So you can have a look through all of the rank 3s. There's a couple of decent ones out there. But I think Cicada King honestly is far and away the best. It really is. The rest of these cards are sort of somewhat underwhelming. None of them are jumping out at me here as being viable alternatives. So, you know, I think sticking to Cicada King if you have it is probably the play. And Hope Harbinger is just a generic rank 8 Exceed monster. You don't use rank 8s a ton in this deck, because in most cases where you go into it, you would almost rather just summon a drag out, right? Because it negates trap cards as well. But Hope Harbinger is definitely a decent one to have in your back pocket for your rank 8 plays. And lastly is Cross Sheep. Cross Sheep's pretty solid in this. Again, you can turn any 2 monsters into this, meaning it can help you recover. One of the primary uses for Cross Sheep, and one of the ways I was using it most in testing, is if you do end up in that situation where you just have 2 random level 3 monsters on the board, your Xiamen or your Sharkusai get hit by an Imperm and now you can't synchro summon or fusion summon, whatever, and you're left with Cross Sheep. What I would typically sort of look to do is I would go into Cross Sheep off of those. If you have Instant Contact in hand, then you can go Instant Contact to summon a fusion monster to a zone that it points to, and then directly summon back one of your level 3s from the graveyard, and then that enables you to go into a whole bunch more plays. You can basically go straight into, say, Mariner, summon Mariner to a zone under Cross Sheep and then bring back a level 3, and then you can use Mariner and Cross Sheep to go Mariner and your level 3 to go into your Jam Dragon or into a Dragite or into a Chaos Ruler, whatever it is. So yeah, Cross Sheep, it does honestly open the door to more Link plays. There are certain cards you could take out if you wanted to include. There's definitely a world in which you include Masquerena and Avramax in this. There's a world where you do that for sure, right? Where you go Mask and Avramax. You would probably cut out... I was about to say, you'd probably cut out Axel, Synchro Stardust Dragon, and potentially, if you don't have it, either Cicada King, or if you do have Cicada King and you really want to play this, you probably cut out one of your level 10s, if I'm being honest. Which is hard to do, right? And that's why I didn't do it, right? That's why I'm just not playing them. I feel like playing the extra deck as it is generates more value than what you could get going in that direction. But at the same time, different hands, different situations, it really just does come down to what you're against in the moment. But yeah, that's the full deck. Again, the deck is really fun, really straightforward. It's definitely a different style of play than what we play most of the time, where we're just sort of balls to the wall combo most of the time. This is a nice sort of leisurely, fixed deck where you're just playing off of hand traps, playing off of your hand, playing off of a few onboard interruptions, while having some crazy OTK potential. That's the full deck list. If you are interested in seeing any more content just like this on this deck or on others, by all means subscribe, especially if you're new around, and like the video if you got this far and actually enjoyed watching. And with that, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.